You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Well, the International Monetary Fund in a recent report has observed that the Indian economy showed robust growth over the past year and the macroeconomic factors are strong. Now, following the conclusion of the 2023 Article 4 consultation with India, the IMF noted that inflation has, on average, moderated, although it remains volatile. Employment has surpassed pre-pandemic level, and while the informal sector continues to dominate, formalization has progressed. The IMF observed that financial sector has been resilient, strongest in several years, and largely unaffected by global financial stress in early 2023. Growth is expected to remain strong, supported by macroeconomic and financial stability. Real GDP is projected to grow at 6.3% in FY 23-24 and FY 24-25. Headline inflation is expected to gradually decline to the target, although it remains volatile due to food price shocks. And to discuss this, we have with us Sanjeev Sanyal, member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Sanyal, for your time and your expertise. What is driving the strong economic performance of the Indian economy?
So let me first say that the IMF's numbers, although very strong by world standards, let me say that given the very recent quarterly numbers, our own assessment that it is going to be even stronger than what they say. So
yes,
the IMF expects our economy to grow by about 6.3, 6.4%, and that it will contribute 1/6 of world GDP. But our own assessment is that it will be growing at somewhere in the range of 7% this financial year.
Yes.
So in that sense, it will. We think that we will do even better than what the IMF thinks. Now, what is driving this growth? Well, a lot of factors are driving this growth. There's the services sector is doing reasonably well, but there has been a significant acceleration of the industrial sector recently, which you may be aware of. And also a lot of investment that is happening. So, of course, government investment, but we are also now seeing a significant amount of corporate investment and household investment also coming through. So the combination of industrial growth, investment, infrastructure investment, all of this is driving growth. Where we are not getting too much help, unfortunately, is from exports. Exports are basically flat from last year, and that's unfortunate because, there's little we can do about it given the state of the rest of the world's economy. Yes. Unless demand is growing rapidly in our export markets, we can do very little. But it's great that even despite the fact that external markets are not in good condition, we will probably do 7% this year, and hopefully things will improve next year.
That's great. But why is the IMF looking at formalization as an indicator? Does formalization actually improve the output of the informal sector? They have said that the informal sector has contributed greatly to the growth.
Well, formalization is important for multiple reasons, not the least because once you formalize, they become part of the tax net. There's also an improvement in the quality of growth very often because they are properly registered and so on. So there has been over time, not surprisingly, some form of formalization has been going on for quite some time, and this has accelerated in recent times. But let me say that we need to also think of formalization a slightly different way than what we have in the past. So, for example, even the informal sector in multiple ways gets formalized
yes,
at the margin in important ways. For example, the payments, for example.
Right.
A lot of even small informal firms take their payments now through UPI or QR codes and things like that. Now, in effect, for the purposes of payments and therefore of creating a credit record, they are formal.
Yes.
Even if their activities are otherwise informal. Same thing is happening, for example, in terms of registration and many other ways also they are getting formalized. So this is an important thing to realize that formalization and informalization are a spectrum. It's not like black and white.
Indeed. Mr. Sanyal, you did speak about, the effect of the payment system, UPI and all. The financial sector has come in for praise. But what has the impact been of DPI and the financial inclusion program of the government?
No, I mean, you saw that through the COVID cycle. Yeah. The very fact that we have been able to give the bulk of our population with an identity and then connected it through the JAM Trinity has allowed a huge amount of direct payments of various kinds of support. It has also meant that you can target various schemes into the future, not just today. And so that has been a success and has been recognized so by the rest of the world as well.
You did mention in your first answer that we are growing at 7.7% currently, in fact, in this fiscal year so far. But the IMF has stuck to 6.3%. The World Bank also has stuck to 6.3%. Moody's has said 6.7%. Why are they so conservative about India? I mean, it's pretty clear that India is growing much higher than what they're talking about.
So let me clarify. You're wrong in saying that I'm saying for the full year we'll be at 7.7. It'll be 7.0%.
No, yeah, I've said 7.7 for the first half of this year, which is what's come in.
Yeah, 7.7. Yes. Yeah. For the first half, we have 7.7, and the number for the second half is going to be lower. We know that because of the statistical factors that are well known. So the fact that the number will be lower in the next half is not that surprising. But on balance, it will still be 7% for the full year. Why these agencies are coming up with 6.3 and much more conservative numbers, you should ask them.
Okay.
Because we ourselves started, like the RBI started with 6.5 as well. So it's not that we have had this number from the beginning and we are having to scramble around trying to change it. We have in fact been upgrading it as time passes based on the data available. So given the numbers we are generating, you should ask them why they still think we'll grow at 6.3%.
Indeed. Final question on inflation. 2 to 6% is the RBI's target. I mean, we were about 4.87, now we are 5.5. It is hovering closer to the higher side of that 6%, though the finance minister says we are stable. What's your outlook on inflation?
So our target is 2 to 6%. It is not the case that they have to hit 4% every quarter. On average, as long as we are within this 2 to 6% range, we are reasonably comfortable. There will be spikes in vegetable prices from time to time, like tomatoes or something, but there is no systematic long-term inflationary pressures. And of course, as you know, recently international oil prices have also come down. That's only happened very recently, but let's see if it sticks. But if it does, that will also be an additional factor that will bring down inflation.
The stock markets are at all-time highs, and they reflect obviously the underlying strength of the Indian economy. And people looking ahead have predicted that the Indian economy will be the third largest economy by 2030. So in this context, I mean, obviously there's a lot of growth that's expected as well in the stock market. What do you think? I mean, are we crowding in investment?
Look, as a policymaker, I don't get carried away by ups and downs in the stock market. One day it'll go up, one day it'll go down. So I'm pleased that it is on average going up, which is good for wealth creation. But I wouldn't react to any particular data point on stock markets. What I would say is that, yes, we are well on our way to becoming the world's fourth largest economy in about 18 months' time, and the world's third largest economy in about 2 to 3 years' time, around about 3 years' time, I would say. So I think that's quite good in that, it's something that we have been seeing as a re-emergence of India on the global stage as a serious player. Sure, I mean, China and the US are still far ahead, but it will mean that we are now taking, we are now the third biggest player, and by the way, growing the fastest as well. So, which means that our share of world GDP growth will also keep rising. And in this context, let me say that this does not mean that just because we are the world's third largest economy, we have solved all our problems. We are still, on per capita terms, a poor economy. But being a larger economy obviously means we have much more resources. So it provides us whether the tax collection or other resources that we can use to build infrastructure and provide safety nets and so on.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal. Thank you for joining us, member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. Now, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for news on the sports front. And in cricket, after India's comprehensive